Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to episode 83, March 27th, 2020. Surrendering to intuition in times of great expansion, ascending with Spirit Baby. What does this new earth and energy of life want to teach us? How can you do your part in the change? What does it mean to conceive and create pregnancy now? How can you surrender to a trusting foundation of intuition? Hello, hello, hello. I know that we are in this great shift of so many things globally. It's not just in the neighborhood or in the state or that other country. We are in a very deep changing time, as many of you know, and there's a lot of prophetic information out there. I feel like there's a split between sides at times. You see all this galactic being and higher realm energy information and peace and love and surrender. And then there's other information that's more, fear-based and more third dimensional awareness and just, very provoking many different emotions for people. And everybody is in such a different place with this. And even the people, we all have a level of fear, right? Fear is our survival mechanism. Fear is supposed to be there, but what happens with the stress of our body and consciousness, of course, when stress becomes super heightened and different alert states kind of take over, then it does kind of break down our physical body, but our energy body and our minds are very important during this time. And of course, we all have a lot of subconscious issues and stuff, even past. And so a lot of people are being triggered more than others. I feel, and I've always kind of felt, that our past lives really predict things. If we've had past lives with illness and pandemics, that it will be extremely highly triggering in this life because your soul has had that experience. And so your fear may go into deep panic. Your fear may go into phobia. And so be very mindful of that. This is a time, as I feel like many know, is what I've heard someone call a home retreat, right? Which is a nice way of looking at it. But in this time, so this is where the power comes. In this time, we get to be real quiet and listen to our bodies, listen to our thought process, listen to our creativity in this time. And as I've seen these weeks kind of collapsing into each other and day by day, is moving in different directions. And I know for me, I'm extremely fortunate. I live in a mountain community up here, and so I'm able to go out in the fresh air and walk across the street and go into some trails with some private property and a little bit of park property. And so it's been really nice. Nobody's on those trails right now. Most people were never on those trails unless you're local, but I don't see a lot of action over there. A lot of flowers in bloom right where I am at. It is springtime, even though it feels a little bit more chilly, but it's very green. The little buggies are out. The flowers are, working their way into bloom. I got to see a hummingbird the other day sipping nectar into a purple flower, and it was just so joyful. It's like when there's so much heaviness and so much uncertainty, to see that is like just really beautiful. And I know many people are finding such an incredible beauty in this time. And for me, it's been very emotional to feel this great beauty. I helped virtually doula somebody I've been supporting on and off for many years, and it was really just incredible to be that support right before the birth of her baby boy. And so much energy in that before birth place. Many of you know that are in pregnancy and that have been there or are preparing to get there. And, being able to see my boys loving each other in a certain way has been really beautiful. Being able to make nourishing foods and just being more open to be playful. And of course, I have a stack of books. Like people, I got to get to my reading, get to my knitting. But of course, I've been very busy with supporting so many people on their fertility, pregnancy, and birth loss kind of healing journeys. And so there's actually probably more need for this kind of spiritual grounding. So I've been very busy in that space currently. And so trying to navigate into my world like everybody else to see what's happening, what's coming. And as I was saying, over these weeks, as they're kind of falling and collapsing into each other, at first to me felt like a very big death. And even months ago, I had feelings around death that were very big, but I don't know, I didn't know the exact details of that. And even now, in the space that we're in, I felt like when this death is happening, there were two different kind of energies. I saw people fighting it, right, which is fine. We do fight death. People on their deathbed do fight death. And then there's others that are just kind of blissfully letting go. And I was kind of like not fighting. And I'm going, what is this? I'm like, why should I be fighting? I just felt like I was just in this beam of light, just being pushed down into all this stuff around me. And I was just kind of trying to be observant and not tap into the energy of fear with others, because the fear, it actually doesn't create anything. It doesn't cure anything. And the fear is like its own virus, right? We've been hearing people say that. It's its own contagious, force of nebulous truth on some level. There is a truth to people's fear that they kind of claim. And I know that many that, are playing around with fear, like really just owning it, and it's fine. People could be in there, but there are many that are not succumbing to what that is, and that those, different levels of love warriors are doing different things to be in the collective at this time, and we're all supposed to be here. There's not like you're not supposed to be here. Like, we're all here and we're all present, and we're just all showing up, that our souls have a certain mission, and that we're just paying attention to it. And as we're moving into this death piece, I find the next piece is the denial and the mourning and the grief. And where's the grief? It's not here yet. I don't feel like, maybe a little bit for people, but I feel like it's still kind of the energies of all these weeks collapsing into each other, creating whatever needs to be created at this time. And I don't feel that there's one reason or energy. And this is where we get, this even reminds me of working with Spirit Baby. Is like, oh, well, here's this, and this, it equals this. It's so many different pieces involved. We are so complex. We are quantumly visiting other realities so many different times, whether we're conscious of it or not. And we have an opportunity now to be very present to the quantum field of our own energy and the quantum field that is around us, and to create what it is that we're really wanting to be present with. And it can feel kind of sci-fi out there saying the word quantum, but there's a lot happening that if you're not aware of the vibration, you're not going to know even what the word quantum means. And it's okay if you don't, you can Google it. And I actually talk a lot about the quantum fertility field in my Sacred Embryo program, because I feel like it's important. What are we doing with our bodies and our consciousness, and how are we energetic? And I can't help but seeing, so many people throughout the years, how the wisdom of their body, the information that's being shared is just really profound. That just shows, I feel like, as I have the voice and my paper listening to people, and I'm not seeing them, I don't see people, I like to do everything by phone. And for a reason, because my head's always in a notebook. I don't know if I need to look at people. But I find there's so much information that the energy body shares to me, and there's something to say about that we're so much more than just, the density of bone and the consciousness of fear. Like, we're more than that. And this is probably a good time for Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, where he takes you in his meditations. I feel like he takes you into being a bodiless person, into really the truth of you. And if you can find that being within you, that's where the trust begins. That's where it all kind of comes together. And, in this global kind of retreat, in this global changing that's happening, the change is still in flux. We're still in it, and nothing has really settled, and it may not settle for quite some time, but we can't go into the future so much. We're presently creating what our future looks like. And not everybody is meant to be in the same place at the same time. This is where we really have to activate compassion, which is so hard, right? We have to connect with our inner Kuan Yins and Buddhas to say, where is the compassion? Because there are 7 billion spiritual paths in this world. And so with all these people in the world, not every spiritual path needs to be the same. And there's so much blame, judgment, suffering, harm, so many things happening, and I feel like everybody is meant to be where they are, and they're meant to worship what they feel, what they eat, how they work, what they're doing in this time. And if your vibration doesn't match with other people, it doesn't mean you've abandoned people. It just means that you are holding light in a different space, and that is the most loving thing that you can provide, not just for yourself, but for those around you. And I know a lot of it makes me think about like the word ascension, right? Like, what is the ascension of Spirit Baby? And the word ascension, how is that defined? Ascension is a term that's like ascension symptoms. It's a changing of energy. It's moving into another vibration. I'm probably not defining it as really eloquently as some of these spiritualists do. But I learned about ascension symptoms like 20 years ago maybe. And I knew as an empath that was a deeply physical empath. I didn't really claim the clairvoyance yet because I just didn't really know what that was. I just thought it was something everybody does. They could see all these visual things. And so then I put it into work and action and, started talking to people about it and realized, oh, this is something else that I'm doing. And so ascension symptoms are so common. I've seen them literally with people over state lines. You don't have to be next to each other. So when there's like something happening that's like everybody's having stomach issues, or everybody's suddenly like stubbing their toes and hurting their legs or hurting their hands, or they're getting a lot of head stuff, headaches, head issues. This is so collective, and some of the people will feel it. They'll know that an ascension's happening. There was this woman years ago, I can't remember her name now. She talked so much about ascension, and it was really beautiful. I felt like she was in my head all the time. I was like, how does she know this? And it just shows like the collective energy where, some of us that maybe we all went to the same soul school together somewhere, and so we have this kind of magnetizing awareness with certain things, and so you will feel ascension symptoms. And of course, you could break down the energy of a virus and what that looks like from a spiritual place, and it's, I'm sure there's different definitions. I know that as a medical intuitive that I have worked with the virus, bacteria, fungus, and parasite energy, and in those energies, I see them a certain way. Sometimes I do see them in people's bodies, and they come up as a certain vibration, and sometimes they're just there, and they kind of work their way out. And when we're suppressed, of course, our immunity drops and we become more receiving of it. But I also feel like there's weaknesses in energy fields. Like, I know for me that when it comes to lung issues, like this is the big thing, the heart, the lungs, the compassion, the heart energy field. I almost feel like if I sense into it more, it's not just about the heart energy field, but I also feel like the crown and the solar plexus. It's like when things are in ascension and restructuring, that's just what's happening. That's why people don't get sick all the time. You can expose some people to sickness, and some would say, well, they have a strong immunity. I just don't feel like it's their vibration, so they're not going to get sick. That's why, again, why are there healthy people? Why are there sick people? And they would say, oh, well, they're asymptomatic, they're passives, which may or may not be true, right? And so sometimes people get sick, sometimes they don't. And the path of people is so different. And so if you're curious, I would say definitely look into what ascension is about and what that energy is and how you can connect to, ascension in whatever way that makes sense to you. And so one thing I wanted to share that I did share in a post I made is probably about a week ago. And it says, I see so many posts on Facebook of people that tell me they're in love and not in fear, but everything they post about is about the virus, right? The COVID-19. It's like everything. And I'm like, are they even aware of that? Because I did not post one thing about it because my investment in the energy of it is not that big as is this what I want to put out? Is this the voice that I want to have? Do I need to? And I know a lot of people use Facebook to emotionally express their feelings all the time, but it almost feels like a little bit of shaming. And so I want to read you something that I shared recently, and I don't know if people received it or what the take was on it, but I said, what do you share? Are you listening to you before you tap into the media? What happens with your overreading and watching? You build an emotional response, and chemistry ripples outward to others, creating more disconnect and fear. What does intuition say over others? Are you confusing fear for true intuition? And I have seen that fear becomes false intuition by working with almost 3,000 people supporting healing and working with the shadow. Your intuition has been waiting for moments like this to be in solid trust in higher ways of love and living. Ask yourself, what are you truly doing? Are you doing your part in this time? Most are just posting so much fear, blame, suffering, just about everyone, and just own it. Say, I'm in fear, I'm scared, I am ... Without shaming everyone, please do the most important work in social distancing and isolation, self-discovery, trust, psychic embodiment, and intuitive living. I just hold that truth and energy for people that, again, I know people are scared and they're just saying ridiculous things, but really just to be mindful of the obsessive posts about hand washing and cleaning every little item in your house. It's just really what that does to me. You know, I'm not telling you not to be cautious, but where is the overcaution coming from? Where is the lack of intuition? Is this penetrating virus going to tackle you down to the ground and, you know, and make you sick or bypass you or kill you? And then some people are saying, well, I'm not scared of the virus at this point. I'm scared of the social economy and the crashing. And it's like, yes, you know, that's another piece. It's like, where will the future bring? What will the energy look like, and how will we be able to rebuild a different financial system, or will it just go back to the same? Or will there be more conniving energy? Will there be more disconnect? This is not an overnight thing, right? It's not like you take the pill to cure everything. It's like this has been a wound, a very deep wound with many scars, right? The financial system of the world is this, deep scarring, and it's like, how is it being nurtured and rebuilt? And that takes time. That's, and what time is, how people are coming together in their own conscious ways, weaving together what people are calling a new world looks like. And I almost feel like, I don't know. I mean, I almost feel like, what does this energy of even a new world mean? And are we always kind of recycling through our, menstrual cycle periods, recycling through our shedding of our skin, the generation of growth in our bodies? Like, we are physically shedding and releasing new parts of who we are all the time, as well as even from a psychic space. Your psychic space is always growing and shedding into new things. And this is why it is a good time of creativity, even in between, of course, the intensity of what it is that you bring forward now. Where is your own inner process? And so now I'd love to kind of go into intuition. And I teach a lot about this in my Sacred Embryo for Conception. Week 1 is actually called the Intuitive Design, Your Intuition. And, as I say, intuition is not some new age thing, and there's a science in it, but it's also, there's a mystical piece to it that forms a relationship that's different, but they need each other. And it's always about intuition it's an automatic practice, that we are intuitive whether we are conscious of it or not. And why I say about that is you may notice things months before, or something feels off, or you may not even notice something feels off. You may notice your behavior starts to change in a certain way. And there's some really profound things I've noticed over these past 3 months that has happened that's gotten me to this, this month now. Like things I started doing that were so reflective of where we are now. And I'm like, this is really fascinating, because I didn't know at the time what was happening. I just kind of following my rhythm, listening to my body. And then all these things kind of are, coming together in certain ways. And so knowing that your intuition is always there. And I tell my ladies, when you walk out your door and go out into the world, go to the store or go about your life and work, knowing that your intuition is there and knowing how to trust it, even in small ways. When you're driving, you're doing something, really reminding yourself, am I in my intuition? Am I trusting it? That's really helpful, I feel, to the thought process, because your thought process is going to be the big trick and foolery of your whole connection. And when you build a really beautiful, trusting, loving connection with intuition, it is very powerful. And your life is set up in a way where you go, okay, yeah, I got this. Even in times where it may feel like it's okay to fall out of intuition. But really being careful is, where does the majority of your energy go? Does it go into intuition, or does it really stay on the edges of fear more than intuition? And we do make a lot of choices out of fear. I've seen that even for myself many years ago, even, with a lot of people. And so if you are new to your own intuition, or you want to really accelerate the trusting energy around it, you have to invite the vibration in to know that there is something deeper happening, that you can fall deeper into your heart space with it and allow your thought process to kind of disappear a little bit and soften why, this is a good opportunity and time to be able to find your grounding, to find your center, to see how you interact with the world around you. And of course, meditation is a really big piece to that. Sitting with yourself, listening, even movements, listening to how your body moves. And, one really great, like a sensory kind of somatic form, like embodiment practice is not just dancing and moving, but seeing if you could put music on. Maybe it's very, not like, I almost say not singing, more of like instruments where, because I almost think a voice could be very distracting. And see if you can move your body just very slowly with your eyes closed even, by yourself. And just even notice, like, how is my arm moving? What is the very level of the way my fingers move, my hips move? And then even see if you want to go to the floor. And when you do this, start going really big movements, but then go really small movements, very slow. Like it's as though your body's becoming more tired and heavy. And we did a lot of stuff like this during my somatic psychology program, and it's really profound. Like me saying it means nothing, but you have to like experiment with it. Because again, you are the channel of information, as I've been sharing over these weeks. Your psychic embodiment, your intuition begins with you. If you are a clear vessel, you are going to hear, experience, and connect with bigger things. And you're going to understand things like what your reality is looking like and how you can continue to be present and open with it. And, it really does begin with intuition. But again, you have to be really gentle and loving at this time. And when I say the words, ascending with Spirit Baby, I want to go a little bit now. We've got into that, where we are at this time and intuition, and then moving into, what does it mean to conceive and be pregnant in this time? I feel like this is a really great opportunity right now for women in conception, even ones that are doing IVF and ones that are, moving into natural conception. You're going to just get really more centered and detailed and really, really loosening up a lot of your energy to see where are the deeper things underneath. And this is why I give a lot of my ladies, I give them homework to look at different energies, to look at things, since I can see the structure. And then even with baby energy, like what's that about? And I know that a lot of women that are in pregnancy are very nervous, are very scared, are looking towards home births. And we're very lucky because there's so many amazing home birth midwives and home birth even centers that are being very conscious and being very helpful to this, to where we're at, to be of service in that way. And during this time, definitely talk to Spirit Baby. Spirit Baby is not so much going to go dormant. I think people were scared because if we're going through a conscious flux of change, sometimes baby does get a little dormant, but it's not always true. And I want you to see where you can trust where your energy is with your Spirit Baby or babies, whether you are in conception, continuing that relationship, maybe deepening it to a different level. And then even in pregnancy, just continuing to stay in your really sacred bubble. Like, don't go in the outside media, don't go there, because your levels of stress will be very agitated, because women in pregnancy are heightened intuition. You're like heightened psychic energy. And so you do want to conserve that. And it's such a beautiful time to do that, because you're bringing life into this world, and it's such a beautiful energy to be a part of. And so I feel like collectively, many of us are holding space for birth. And, again, Spirit Baby is in their own ascension, is doing their own thing in that before world, right, in this in-between, in this great mystery. Even those that aren't in conception and pregnancy, even through birth loss, are feeling a sense of acceleration around the ability to communicate with their child through loss and being able to build, and bridge a relationship, of a changing relationship that has momentum and purpose. And, again, seeing where you are with your inner Spirit Baby meditation, your own inner practice. Now is a good time and opportunity, not just to sit in meditation. You could do journaling with baby, channel journaling with baby, as well as creating art, doing movement, doing music. But really, really kind of deepen yourself. I do really feel this time right now with women that are struggling to conceive is a great window of change. And so seeing where you're softening into changing energy, even if it feels like it's breaking or shifting, because this is what I see when women are going on a very long conception journey. And I can only speak to the women that I see more regularly. Like if someone just comes for one session, it's just I see your energy that one time. I don't stay with your energy. But I've seen women grow and change, and I've seen a big shift in women's energies at times, and I'm excited because I'm like, oh, something is different. There is pregnancy. There's something big happening, and I've seen that with many of the ladies, and it's really, again, it's what was wanting to happen. It's what the creation, all the work. And conception, you know, it is a work for some women, and as I've said in the past, you know, Project Me is on the forefront. And so, you know, in this time, as you continue more to surrender to how your intuition is being of service to you, because as you are in that service to you, you can then serve others outside of you. And checking in with Spirit Baby, whether you're in conception, pregnancy, or loss, you know, allowing yourself this time to just soften, to be, again, of service to yourself, to connect to your environment, and to really see what new sacred energy that you are just kind of being present to. And yes, that may mean a lot of emotional baggage wants to be cleared. You may want to create an altar, what I call an emotional altar. I've changed mine every few days when I want to. I have this beautiful altar on the floor in my healing room, and there's candles, fresh flowers. And I'm changing it with different crystals and goddesses. I'm like, where does my energy feel? And I have a lot of rocks in there because I want to feel the grounding energy of myself. And so much more, you know, I light that candle. I sit there. I listen to either sounds, or I sit in my meditative space and go, where am I supposed to be today? I'm listening, and I'm listening. Really, that's the number one thing. I'm listening. I'm listening to you, my higher self. I'm listening to any other spirit team energies that are wanting to connect with me, and I'm a channel of insight and information. And then that's where you're settling, you're relaxing, doing that, you know, extreme level of self-care that becomes maybe the new normal of self-care. And then you breathe with it, and then you send love with it. And know that Spirit Baby in their own ascension is on a self-discovery with you, and that you are merging in the most beautiful, loving way in a most intense, challenging time. Much love to everybody. Thank you for joining episode 83, Surrendering to Intuition in Times of Great Expansion, Ascending with Spirit Baby. If you like my podcast, please subscribe and leave reviews. And you can learn more about services and around the world in private and one-on-one sessions, online classes, programs, and private VIP retreats at kellyanmeehan.com or spiritbabymedium.com. I do have a really great journal. It's called Sacred Communication, a Spirit Baby journal, to offer you some journal prompts, some beautiful images, and you can get that also at my website.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.